namesake. Revives in this verse means the shepherd returns, restores, or even converts my soul. The good shepherd returns me to God's own heart. And isn't that our home? Prone to wander, God, you know it. We definitely are. And in these moments when we live in Psalm 23, we put ourselves back into the Lord's hands to be recalibrated, to be restored to lives worthy of earth creatures made in the image of God. And God does not hide from us. God has a very special interest that we find the right ways. It is for God's name's sake that we are led. What good news! God cares for us, not only because God cares for us, but because God has some concern about God's own reputation. And we reflect on God. God cares for our sake, but also for God's own sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. My work now during the week is at an elder care community in Camarillo, Alma Via, which was founded by Catholics and Lutherans. And the average age of people I work and talk with every day, the average age is 85. To a person, they know what it means to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. They are victors and victims of war. They have had hearts pierced by the death of spouses and children and many, many friends. They have lived through social unrest, depression and recession, divorces and abandonment, injustice and poverty. And now they live along with their great strength and faith and intelligence and contribution to the world. They live variously with illness, disability, dementia, helplessness, loneliness, insomnia, and boredom. Under that roof, that is the home to almost 100 older adults, they have collectively lived more than 8,000 years. There is not a valley of death unknown to any of them, and I suspect to your congregation as a whole. And those among them whose lives have been formed by the gospel of Jesus through a life of faith and prayer testify day in and day out to this verse from Psalm 23. The Lord is with me. You are with me, O God, through the valley of the shadow of death. Now, they are most certainly afraid when they have a heart-related scare in the middle of the night and have to reach for their nitroglycerin. But they do not fear evil, which is the absence of God. They will admit to agreeing with Woody Allen's line, "I'm not afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens." But they will also nod their heads in agreement. Through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. You spread a table before me in the presence of those who trouble me. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup is running over. Now think of the prodigal son in Jesus' parable of the loving father. The father ran to meet him and welcome him back, the son who had made a mess of his life. He called a feast day. He had a grand meal prepared and sat that son down in the presence of, I imagine to the whispers also, of the neighbors and the servants, and we know the older brother who said, "He does not deserve this." The father's response was, "But this is who I am. I can't do anything but welcome home my son who was lost." Psalm 23 shows us this kind of extravagance and hospitality of God. The Lord says, "Sit down at my table. You will not be put to shame. You will not be put to shame." On this day, when we practice Psalm 23 so that we can practice resurrection, a table is very truly prepared for us, where Jesus is the host, inviting us to receive simply his gifts with no cover charge. The Good Shepherd feeds his sheep. "Surely your goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Follow here means more like hound or hunt. You will be hounded and hunted by the goodness and mercy of God. God is the initiator. God is the one seeking to win us over, and it is not with guilt or threats or endless demands. It is with goodness and mercy. If you have a ridiculously faithful dog, you might know something about what it means to be hounded by the goodness and mercy of God. If you have a preschooler who cannot stop drawing pictures for you and picking flowers for you, you know something of what it means to be hounded by the goodness and mercy of God. We are left feeling both undeserving and grateful. Undeserving is probably appropriate, but grateful is the better place to land, because that will be the posture and the song that we sing for eternity in the big, roomy house of God. Resurrection in our real lives looks like moving from standing alone to belonging to God and one another. It looks like moving from frantic achieving to trustful receiving. It feels like moving from stress to serenity. It feels like, it sounds like moving from forgetfulness to gratitude. When we live in and with Psalm 23, we are practicing resurrection. What resonated with you from the psalm today? Take that with you as we continue in our liturgy and as you start a new week. Alleluia! Christ is risen. The Lord is risen indeed. Alleluia!